Good evening. My name is Dick Stein. In a minute or two, I'm going to show you a draft of my TV show titled Guns. I hope you will watch it to the end. The work, however, is quite controversial. Depending on whether you are a minority or white, I suspect you may get offended. It shows both sides at their best and at their worst. My reason for showing this work at this time in its early stage is to get feedback from you that see this show. You just have to contact Bowie Cable TV or Bowie Community Media Corporation about it. I then can possibly use your comments to make a final version that is in better tune with the times. Now for my play. It's about the racial riots that have been occurring across our country. The storyline has been inspired by an incident that occurred during World War I. A member of a royal family, while visiting a military hospital, saw a soldier patient that was horribly wounded. In about 1940, I heard a radio show titled Johnny Got His Gun. It was inspired by this incident. That show was written by Dalton Trumbo and it starred James Cagney. As I recall hearing that unforgettable radio show, it told of a veteran who lost his arms and legs and even his ability to talk. Fortunately, from his youth, this soldier did know the Morse code. This system represents alphabet letters with a series of dots and dashes. By blinking one eyelid for a dot and the other for dash, he knew he could communicate to anyone who knew the Morse code. When the military found out about this, they didn't want him to tell his tragic story to the world. They were afraid it would discourage other young men from joining the military service. Subsequently, they then placed him in a room to be isolated from the public for the rest of his life. His body became his coffin. You can only imagine what that must have been like. With that said, I would now like you to see my work. It will have to speak for itself. Two days before my 22nd birthday, my mother was informed I was killed in the city riots by street gangs. Supposedly, my ashes were sent to her in an urn. At my funeral service, the county's best were present to pay homage to my life. Several of the rioters had been caught. But the prosecuting attorney was on their side. A committee formed to solicit money to erect a monument in my memory. The committee chairman would ultimately pocket $5 million for his services. I was secretly sent to St. Mary's Hospital. The reason being, because of the horrible physical condition I was in, they didn't want the public to see me. The prosecutor felt it might hurt the rioters' cause. It might start a pro-peace movement against the rioters' sentiments. Once there, I was placed in a room where few were allowed to see me. One doctor's glorious goal was to keep me alive. His efforts were first to remove any part of my body that could have gangrene. Because the pupils of my eyes were temporarily clouded with blood clots, I could not see. In between these torturous surgeries, I heard a medical aide speak. I longed to touch her. My body became my coffin. I saw men, women, and children breaking into stores to take whatever they could get. The police were instructed to maintain their position. They watched for hours as mobs stole and destroyed almost everything in sight. Within moments, I was butting heads with those rioting. Pushed down to the ground and beaten. In defense, I unintentionally killed one of the rioters while his girlfriend watched in horror. Soon others were on top of me. The last thing I saw was her kicking me in the face. Like sharks in a frenzy, screaming for hope, they bashed parts of my body. If God had been kind to me, He would have let them finish their job. From the intense pain, I then passed out. When I awoke at St. Mary's Hospital, I was numb from painkillers. But the blood in front of my pupils was beginning to dissolve. I could see. To my hopeless horror, the first thing I saw was that I had lost part of my leg below my knee and part of my arm. God help me. Please help me, I hopelessly pleaded. A medical aide came into my room. She looked at me coldly, then bitterly said, "You killed my love. For that I'm going to make you suffer every day of your life that you have left. You are 22, she laughed. We should have 50 good years together." A small, divided, informal committee had been selected to approve now a cheap mural to depict the occasion of the riot. One member in disgust walked out, leaving the remaining two to determine its content. Then she started sexually tempting me. It felt good. I was aroused. "You like that, honey?" she said. "It is going to be the last sexual pleasure you will ever know." She grabbed my crotch and said, "How would you like it if I castrated you?" prosecutor displays the mural. Depressed at what she saw, my mother started to leave. Upset, she said, "No one came. They made him a racist." Feeling guilty, my doctor told her I was being kept in the sub-basement of St. Mary's Hospital and that she has to get me out of there immediately. The medical aide took pleasure in humiliating me. Not without a struggle, my doctor got my mother to finally get me out of this sadistic place. Finally, my mother and I left hell. Keep on going, Tom. Now you have seen my show. It was my original intent to have a number of guests here on this set tonight to comment on it, but that was not to be. As I mentioned earlier, I hope you will now contact Bowie TV Studio and Bowie Community Media Corporation about my project. Your comments can only make it better. I have only one hope. I've done justice to this subject. Thank you for watching.